Okay, so here we are back over at the regulator. I'm going to turn my main water on. I will say I've tested all of this, and I have had to go back and redo some of the Teflon tape. Some of the connections I had made back at the beginning weren't quite tight enough. I had to go back in and do all that. Basically required a full reconstruction of the system. So make sure as you're putting this together, you get the tightness that you're looking for in your threads, so that you don't have to come back and start from scratch. So there is one leak that I'm aware of. It's up at the top at the original connection, and for the life of me I cannot find my slip joint pliers that would be big enough to go around the hose, so that's just going to have to wait until later. So turning the water on, we can see the pressure gauge goes up. Remember, this measures actually from 0 to 30. I believe I said a different number before. So we can see the 5, and we're right now at a 3. So that's the high end of what I want to operate. At the bottom of the pump down here, make a little adjustment to you. Down here at the bottom, this knob is what adjusts the pressure. And as you can tell, it's just a simple twist for more or less. So let me go ahead and do more, and you can watch the pressure gauge go up a little bit as it's letting more water come through the system. And I'm looking behind me here, and indeed water is pouring out of the tubes. So everything appears to be working just fine. Still looks like the only leak I have is the one up above. So we're going to lower this back down and try to get this pressure to sit at about a 2. Now while we're over here, let me explain the filter. I'm just going to take the cap off that we're using just to keep the dust out, and then the little valve switch here, we'll open that up. And of course it's going to come out at full pressure because it's before the regulator, and that's one way to help me clean out the system. Or of course I can turn it off at the top here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and open this up again and let the kind of depressurize everything before I do the next part. Okay, that's good. And what it is, this entire cylinder will spin. And that's how I can clean out the filter if there were any micro debris down inside of that. So it's actually a little bug in there already. Probably was out of that old hose, so it worked. Okay, so here's an overview of the entire system. We've got the black hose coming in to the 4-way splitter. The yellow hose takes us down to the filter. The filter is directly into the pressure regulator or reducer. And the black transmission line takes us all the way across the open spans, where we'll have more rabbits later, over to the current setup. We've got the standoffs to keep the tubing away from the rabbits, down to the drinking valves that they'll actually use. So now let's go over and actually make sure that the valves are operating properly with the low pressure and such a long transmission. And we'll have to wait until the new valves come back in, or the valves that are on back order come in, and we will continue this tubing to the other cage there and to these two here, because really she needs it the most. She's got 9 little kits down in there that we just can't wait to help grow up. Alright, now when you test this, don't panic at first, especially in my system. I've got a lot of tubing. There's going to be a good bit of air in this that I need to encourage to come out before I'm going to see any water. Sure is a windy day here, but that's working just fine. We're going to leave both setups currently, the bottles that they are familiar with and the new automatic drinking system, for at least a couple days until we seem reasonably sure that all the rabbits have had a chance to understand the new system and that they've drunk off it before we get rid of the bottles. But at some point the bottles will be removed. So what's the trouble? Why go through all this? Well, number one, let's just talk about money. One of these little water bottles is going to run you, what, $3, $5, depending on what size and variety that you get and all the features that they try to sell you about. To do a new cage for the standoffs, the transmission lines, and the valve is going to cost me less than $10. The valve itself is $4. The tubing is less than $1 a foot. The connections, the standoffs are either 50 cents or $1, depending on which one you're talking about for the valve or the tubing, and the little T thing's 50 cents. So to do one cage is less than $10, and I now never have to think about watering that animal again. If for some reason we ever lose municipal water, I will be able to simply take that yellow hose from here, disconnect it. I can take a bucket, put a couple PVC fittings on it to make so I can screw the hose into it, and hang the bucket from on top of these rafters, probably up here in the middle, and I can run it off the bucket and just use a gravity fed system. But for right now, I can know that I don't have to check a bucket, I don't have to check little tiny bottles. I know that these rabbits will remain well watered, which in the heat out here that we will get in very short months to come makes me feel a lot better as a responsible owner and breeder of these rabbits. So thank you all for your time. I appreciate any comments that you can provide below on how we can do this better for you next time, or any questions that you might have regarding the system. Please subscribe to the channel, and if you would like some additional information such as a price list or parts list for this, please go check our blog. If you're on our YouTube channel, you can find a link to it over there, or I'll put one in the description as well, so you can find it no matter where you're watching. Thank you again. Have a great day. Well, that didn't take long at all. It's like an old "which one does your pet want to eat" kind of scenario. She's already drinking off the new barbs. That's excellent.